to talk about luxury cruising. From suites so sweet to ships elite. Come explore the world in style with me on Luxury Cruising, the podcast.
Hey, it's Crystal here. Before we get started, did you know that there is a way for you to directly support the podcast? Head over to my website, luxurycruising.net, and you can buy me a latte, a glass of champagne, or even a whole bottle of champagne if you want. Leave me a note, and I'll be sure to give you a shout out on the next episode. That's luxurycruising.net. You can also leave me a note or ask a question. Okay, let's get on with the show.
Welcome back to Luxury Cruising. I'm your host, Crystal Sodaitis, and we have Bradley back with us, as promised, to share his experience on Explorer Journeys. Bradley, please remind the audience anything you want them to know about you.
Well, I'm back again. Yep, that's right. Nothing new this time. However, as always, it's just me in love with cruising. Have been since I was 4 years of age and now on my 60th cruise. So yeah, gone into the luxury market now, the 6 stars. So off we go. It's plain sailing from here.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, this is a cruise line I am definitely really interested in. It's a new player in ocean cruising, part of MSC. So it's MSC's luxury line and really affordable. Like in terms of luxury, I don't know if it's because it's new or just in general, MSC has really been trying to break into the North American market. And so I wonder if part of its price point is because it's really trying to attract and I'm sure hook a lot of North American cruisers. So tell us which ship you were on and what made you decide to go on this trip.
Well, as you've rightly said there, it's a brand new 2021. I believe it came in obviously post-pandemic as we were coming out of it, branching into that 6 star. And we saw it from reviews that we've seen online. And we decided to go on their first ship, Explorer 1. Obviously, the first ship that came out, Explorer 2 had come out when we'd booked it, but it was very new. And even though we've been on a few inaugural cruise ships, or cruise ship seasons, should we say, we thought Explorer 1, because it had been out a good few months to a year, we thought we'd try that one because it's a lot more settled. They would have, got the sort of inklings out the way. And yeah, as soon as we saw the price, actually, as you rightly just stated, it was very good. Of course, not cheap, but for what it is, what market they're branching into, because they're selling it as a luxury yacht feel. That's what they are looking for and for you to feel when you step on board. And I've got to say, first impressions before we even got on board, it felt like that because they call their team or the crew on board hosts or ambassadors. Mm-hmm. So, the hosts connected with us before we got on. This process was seamless, everything and anything that we needed. And it was simply a factor of, as you said, we were on MSC Cruises. We do Yacht Club, as you've seen. And we were brought to light about this new Explorer Journeys. Otherwise, if we weren't told about it, if we didn't see the reviews, I wouldn't have known. Because down where we are, of course, in the UK, this sort of Explorer Journeys wasn't marketed towards us because it was brand new. So when we came across it and we didn't know anything about the fact that it was MSC until we were told on board, we thought we'd give it a go. So yeah, Explorer 1, here we came.
Awesome. Let me back up and ask you. So your host reached out to you pre-cruise. What kind of questions did they ask? What was that intro email or reach out about?
When they originally got to us or emailed us after we booked online, it was a case of anything you need, please contact us. So we just rang up because I wanted to make sure that we'd got everything done correctly. We did everything online, the check-in, everything like that. So we rang up. They said, yes, this is your host, and we'll go through everything with you. But they decided then to ring us back a few weeks later to say anything that we can help with, to check the times, to check if we knew exactly where the port was, little things like that. Now, when you book a cruise, you look at the finer details, you Google, or where's the ship getting docked at? These things aren't really, all right, in the finer 6-star sort of lines and the premium luxury lines, yes, you do get that information. But it was new to us that someone would ring us to make sure that we got the exact port, the gate, the times. Is there any transportation they could sort out? Anything at all. It was obviously things were an additional cost, but it wasn't about that. It was the fact that it was those finer details that they wanted to just make sure they get right. And Some people might say, oh, is it a bit too much when they were contacting you, or did they ask too many questions? No, I think because of that new line, they wanted to get it right. Did they think
Yeah.
they were doing something wrong? Did they think that we could be asking this question? And could they ask us, as shall we say, the guinea pigs, the first passengers on board, is this too much? Are we asking the right questions? And I felt like they were really doing their market research, should we say. Even though we were full paying guests, they thought well into it, and they thought, what can we do differently to the other 6-star lines, should we say? So yeah, it was a nice personal service.
Nice. Just to make sure that there were no questions, because a lot of times people do have these lingering questions in the back of their mind, but until somebody asks, oh yeah, actually I do have that question.
Exactly.
That's
Spot on.
fantastic. Tell us about the ship. What was the ship like? The decor?
So, well, what can we say about Explorer 1? I don't know if you've been to Monaco, Monte Carlo, or Nice, the south of France, okay? And you arrive, you anchor off, or you tender into the Monte Carlo or Monaco, and you see these yachts, these sparkling, gorgeous yachts, which you know you'll never be able to afford or ever step on in your life. However, we flew into Athens, and it was Piraeus. I stayed the night before, got down to the port, and you look at all these cruise ships, 5, 6, 7 mega ships, should we say, 5, 6, 7,000 passengers. And there was this dark blue sort of figure, should we say, in between these massive cruise ships. And I was looking and thinking, God, there's a big yacht there. God, I can't believe that, they're docked there. They'd normally be docked somewhere posh. As we're getting closer, there was a lovely taxi driver turned and said, oh, that's Explorer. That's your vessel. So as we got up, the dark blue shimmering, you could literally see your reflection, as if they'd polished her. And that's what it was. Wow, that's what we did. It was a wow moment. We just looked at her thinking, okay, we've stepped into now a new era of cruising. They've wanted to get away from that cliche white cruise ship look, even though yachts are, they're white, of course. But it was like when you see a line of expensive cars and then there's that one that's bright gold or bright red or bright yellow that stands out. That was Explorer. It was like, I'm here. We're the new kids on the block. This is our ship. Look at us,
Right. Like when Virgin created that red hull, right?
Yes.
Like something to really set them apart visually, not just from size, but also color.
Correct.
That's amazing.
It was as if you'd won the lottery and you decided to purchase a luxury yacht for the family and sail around the Mediterranean in the middle of summer, thinking you had made it in life. And there she was, and that's just outside. That's just looking at her. And of course, when you stepped on board, wow, that main lobby, you come on from the side, a lot like the other Crystals and Seven Seas and all them. You're greeted with champagne. There's no check-in. You come on board, check-in's done there. You meet the hosts on board who are fantastic. Of course, embarkation day for everyone, especially on a new ship, is not chaotic, but you take everything in, don't you? So you miss things, or it's all wow, you don't know what's going on, where you want to go. It was very chilled. It was very much right. We're new to this too. We've only been on the ship a few months. You're going to get lost. Things are as perfect as we want them to be. They can always be better, but we need you to tell us what we can do better. This is even before we've got to the stateroom or before we've gone for food. They want to know your preferences. They want to know, is there anything during the voyage that we need to know about? Anniversaries, birthdays. Even though you'd put this on your travel sheet, they wanted to make sure. So they went to anything. Any medication you have you got enough? Is there anything that we can do for you? Just little things. And this was now in the sort of theatre, they call it, where you just ushered in nice and slowly, champagne, soft drinks, anything you want. Sit down, your host will be over with you. And next minute, you're checked in. Would you like to go to the marketplace, up on board the buffet, or just waltz around the ship? And it was like, have we checked in? Yeah. Was that as easy as that?
Did they do the muster also at the same time?
Well, the muster was quite interesting. A lot of companies, as you know, now differ. I know Disney Cruise Lines at the minute have gone back to the old style muster where you go on and you go down on the deck and all that sort of stuff. This was literally go check in, take your little ticket to your muster station. They will greet you. This is where you come in and muster drill. Could you please go to your cabin when you're ready after food, watch the, on the TV. And that was it. Because it was such a smaller ship as well, it wasn't like we had to be herded in, like cattle into a small room. This is where you come in emergency, even though you've got to do it and it's for safety, of course, I understand. This was, no, you come here.
So you still had to go physically, which I guess is a safety thing, so that they can say, like, physically where your muster station is. You still had
Yeah.
to physically go there, but it was still sort of like
So
like Royal still has, and I think Norwegian still has a e-muster, they call it, where you watch a video and all that.
perfect. Yeah, it was pretty much you had to physically take your boarding card, should we say,
Mhm.
to your muster station. So say now you went into the theatre and checked in. Your muster station was the Crema Cafe. So all you did, you took your glass of champagne. Oh, would you like a little refill, sir, before you go? Oh, absolutely. Thank you very much. And off you waltz to the cafe. Blip.
Beautiful.
This is where you come. Please watch the video. Any questions, let us know. Off you go. Enjoy. Thank you very much.
Beautiful. So how was that room? What did you think of it?
So we had as in our suite now, entry level as we call it here. So the lowest level on Explorer, everyone is a suite. So they start at Ocean Terrace Suites. So there's Ocean Terrace, Grand Ocean Terrace, Penthouse, and then the very expensive ones like they call the Residence and different things like that. So we had the entry level OT3, I think it is, or OT1, Ocean Terrace Suite. Wow. I've been lucky enough to stay in the biggest suites on the nicest ships. And this was as nice as any of them. But for an entry level, it was just superb. You walk in, it's like, for example, it's based on the design of the Yacht Club Deluxe suite cabins. So it's the same sort of design, but obviously done to a level above, even though them cabins are fabulous.
The finishes are elevated.
Correct. Elevated finishes and a lot more modern touch to it, but still that plush, as we call it. Plush feel of, it looks modern, but when you go up to it, you know that that's a certain fabric or that's a certain leather, or you touch it and it just oozes luxury, you know?
Counts on the sheets.
Literally, the thread counts. You could look at them, and also it looked as if they were monogrammed with your initials. They weren't, but you know, they were that good. Like I always do the bed test. Either me and my mum will jump on the bed, you know, and you just sink into there. Of course, you can pick all your pillows, but we waltzed in, and the smell instantly, because it was a new ship, it was like, oh wow, this smells nice. But I don't know if they put anything in the AC, but it just smelled so good. The bathroom, they've gone away from the baths. Some of the cabins had them, or tubs as you would call them, the massive showers, like the Yacht Club cabins. But again, just so nice. Marble, you know, lovely mirrors, the cool mirrors with the LED lights, all that sort of thing. You could rub your finger across it and it was sparkling. There was nothing there. You know, you could still see the polish. It was fantastic. The bed, the divider for the little lounge area where you had your sofa, the massive television. And when you board, you have metal, we call them here like flasks, like a water bottle. Yeah, exactly. So they're very much into their ocean wellness is what they call it. And refilling your water, always drinking water. So they give you these lovely logoed sort of flasks that you take around the ship. Obviously, you don't have to, it's just for you, but you also take them off. You've got a lovely little bag they give you as well. So if you go ashore, of course, this was in the height of August, so it was boiling where we were. We went all around the Greek Isles over to Istanbul into Turkey. So it was like something like that they'd catered for, knowing that you're going off. You're going to be off all day in the heat. So they've already kind of said, right, here's your water, here's your bag if you need to put your swimming, you know, costume in or anything like that. So it was just little touches. Again, I know the other companies do it, but it was almost as if they perceived what you would need and they already did it. So yeah, the suite itself for an entry level, I will probably tell you, out of all of my cruises, it's the best entry level cabin, stateroom, suite, whichever way you want to call it, that we have ever stayed in.
Beautiful. So you mentioned the marketplace.
Yes.
The buffet.
Yes.
Tell us about that and the food in general.
Again, I know with our last podcast, the food on Crystal was just exceptional. And by no mean feat, this was the same, different, but exceptional. We went up the buffet, as we call it here. And I will say this is where it does pip Crystal. It was the most vastly populated, should we say, small square footage of food that I've ever seen in my life. So diverse, so much choice, in which they had a whole counter which was just plant-based. So
That's
you're
always
talking,
nice. Yeah.
I don't know a lot about the different sort of, you know, there's vegan, of course, gluten-free, whatever one suits your dietary needs. But this particular one had a full-on, it was like a green zone. I forgot the exact name. We call it the greens counter. Now, that's not me. However, my mum, as we said before, is very healthy. She likes in her element, you know, because there was things there that even she didn't know what they were. Of course, different foods in different areas around the world. Of course, we get that. But it was like, oh my gosh, wow, okay. And then I'd be in the section with the very high calorific food, should we say. There was pasta there that I didn't even know existed. It was pasta I never even heard of. It's fresh. They make it fresh. And MSC are quite famous for making things fresh, like the mozzarella balls in their marketplace. Of course, they were making them there. The pasta was freshly made, but the shapes and the different sauces you could have all made. What they would do was, which I loved, everything was presented. So say now there was 15 different pastas, which there literally were, probably even more. It was all in the glass cabinet. What should be worth mentioning is they serve you. You don't serve yourself. All right, so everything's behind glass screens. So, for example, I'm at the pasta station next to then the burgers and the meats. So all the burgers they offer are on display. So they've cooked them fresh in the morning, but they're on display so you can physically see what they look like. So all the pastas are there. But when you see something that's actually laid out nice, even though you didn't think you were going to go for it, you've seen it now on a plate and now you've gone, So as my pasta's cooking, I've turned around going, oh, I fancy that little burger, sort of the Angus burger. Should we have a little taste? And they're encouraging you, yeah, come on, we'll have some. And I'm sitting there going, oh my God, I can't even get back to my table yet. And I've had 3 courses. The way I can put it is the array of food that was there was simply amazing. It was the best we have seen in a main buffet on a cruise ship ever,
Yeah.
Superb.
Awesome. Wow. That sounds amazing. It's always nice when it sounds like you had a probably pretty port intensive itinerary with Greece
Correct.
and Turkey. And when you have that kind of, and it's hot, it's August, right? So sometimes you just don't want to come back and get dressed for the dining room. And it's so good to know that if I could just casually go up to the buffet, I'm not sacrificing the quality of food that I'm going to get. I'm still going to get a really good meal.
Spot on. Yeah. And again, the fact that you said that reminisces because the first day, because it was so hot when we joined in Piraeus, it was, I think it was about 38 degrees, 39 degrees. And for us coming from South Wales, that's like the Sahara Desert, it's so warm. We were so thrilled to be on board Explorer and so overwhelmed that when we went back to the cabin after sitting on this outdoor deck with the live saxophonist and the DJ set, which was amazing. We'll go back to that. But we went to the cabin and we saw the in-suite dine-in and it was fillet steak. Everything was on there. And me and my mum said, do you know what? Should we just sit in the balcony and watch sail away? Because we were sailing away quite late. And I said, do you know what? Yeah, let's go for it. Well, within 20 minutes, our 3-course meal was delivered, all laid out in the balcony, all on my Instagram, because I was like, wow, you can imagine. I was like, tick, 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 tick.
Yeah.
And we sat there and we took it all in. We had a bottle of wine, our food, watched sail away, and we were in bed by 10 o'clock. It was such a busy day, but as you said there, the food didn't just stop at the buffet. We had such a busy day that we thought we'd come back and thought, should we pick it up tomorrow on the only sea day that we've got and make the most of it? And we did. But that was what was nice about Explorer. Very relaxed. There was no preset sort of stigma that you had to go get dressed for dinner. And the thing was, you had to make sure you had dinner. Because some cruise companies, it's very much the evening standard. You have to dress up. It's towards the latter, but some are. And this particular itinerary and this particular, should we say, the temperature that was there and how we were feeling, it was so beneficial that we could just relax and enjoy, go to our suite and go to bed.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. And so say more about that though, but in general, when you were in the dining room or walking around the ship, how did people dress? Like what was the attire?
It was European chic, if that's even a say. I'm not the best at fashion. I like dressing up. So me, I always feel good when I put a nice shirt on and a blazer. I don't mean a full suit. I just like a blazer or a jacket. Okay. And I do it every cruise. I always have, because half the time my waistline is expanding every cruise. So at least with a jacket, I can cover up the buttons that are about to pop, So for the men, very casual. Nice chinos, as we call them here, or fitted jeans, slacks. I think you call them slacks or trousers.
Yeah, slacks or like Dockers.
Cool, yeah, Dockers. Nice shirt. Could be short sleeve or long sleeve, but, rolled up. Very much the sort of beach vibe, the beach house type vibe where you've got, I wouldn't say any men wore shorts in the evening. If they did, it was because they were eating outside or they were spending most of the time on the open desk, because you could in that weather. It was lovely. But they would be tailored shorts, like tailored
We
shorts.
call them like Bermuda shorts.
Perfect. That's the best. And that was the vibe, very Bermuda vibe,
Yeah.
sitting out there, sort of the open type shots. The ladies were in nice floral dresses, sort of a cocktail dress, but not that dressy. Does that make sense? Very
Yeah.
country chic type thing,
Yeah.
European chic. But yes, other nights then where the cruise went along, where people might have been in a larger group that had sort of a party and they were dressing up more for that, or they were invited to a captain's party or senior cocktail party where
Mhm.
they dress up for that. I certainly wouldn't say I saw anybody in tuxedos or full-on suits. There was a few of the older demographic that would put on a tie, but I love that because the older demographic tend to wear a more
Yeah.
formal attire in the evenings, which I loved. But it was more of a like the material that creases, linen, like a
Linen, yeah,
linen
yeah.
jacket, linen suit, very breathable. It was lovely. So I would certainly say going out for a nice evening, but taking the weather into account. So it was very European chic.
That's awesome. Other than the marketplace, what were the other options for eating, and how was that?
Okay, so there was at least 4 or 5 restaurants. You're gonna pick my brains here. However, there's only one specialty on board. So all the dining's included, all right, but there's one that isn't. That's called anthology.
Mhm.
That is their gastronomic experience. Like Umi Uma with Crystal, this was their creme de la creme. That is what we did on the last night. That is chargeable. I can't remember the exact fee. It's not cheap. However, it's one of them. You tick it off the list. And if
Right.
it's not for you, you say you've done it. And it is amazing. We loved it. We thoroughly enjoyed it. 7 courses, I think it was. Stunning restaurant. Michelin star, fabulous.
Yeah.
We actually had the wine pairing with it as well because we had a
course.
deal when we booked, right? So we would have had it anyway, but it was included. So we thought, why not? And even though I like my own wine, I'm very specific with my wines. However, because you're there in the moment and it's pairing with food, not many people know, but especially when you get to luxury cruising, your sommelier pairs your wines. Obviously, you don't have to,
Yep.
but they recommend, especially if
Right.
you've got a drinks package or something like that, they'll recommend. I have seen a massive difference in my palate when it comes to combining your wine with your food and how different it tastes.
Mhm.
I may
Yeah.
not drink the wine solely for the wine, but when it comes to pairing with that particular dish, wow. It
Yeah.
doesn't work all the time, but sometimes I'm like, oh, okay.
Sometimes it's just not your taste. Like,
Yeah,
it's somebody's
exactly.
taste, but
You're
it's just not
different, I'm
yours.
different. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't suit your palate, but at least you tried it. And these wines we were tasting were wines that I wouldn't even buy in a restaurant because they're too expensive, but because they were included, I
Yeah.
was thinking, let's have a go. So anthology, that's one I would recommend everybody to do it once because we've done it now. And although it was excellent and we loved every minute, I wouldn't pay again because the food is so good in general on there. And I've
Yeah.
been lucky enough to already go to these restaurants that I find it's more beneficial for me and more cost effective to eat in the other restaurants because I've done it and I find that food amazing as it is. So, of course, we've
Yeah.
got the buffet, the markets, we've got anthology, we got Fil Rouge, which again is another wonderful restaurant included. Food was superb. The atmosphere, the staff, everything top notch. We got the Med Yacht Club, which is pretty much exactly as it said, a yacht club vibe, Mediterranean sort of cuisine.
Yeah.
Again, fantastic. Marble and Co. Now, this is a steak restaurant. Marble, like the marbling in the steak
Yes.
type thing.
Yeah.
Now, this was our favorite. We had a waitress there called Mary Rose. Shout out to her if she ever listens to us, okay? She was quite simply amazing. I'm talking mixing our Caesar salads tableside, okay? But dancing, singing, telling us all about the food, cracking jokes, going through the entire making you feel comfortable, yet not forgetting you're in a 6-star ship with superb service. But just branching on where not everybody you know what I say, everybody's different. Everybody likes superb service, but left alone. And just
Yeah.
tell me the details and I want to get on with the meal. All the best. Good for you. We like to chit chat, as we say in Wales. We like to mix with the staff, with the crew. We like to have that sort of atmosphere, that ambience where they can have a joke with us, know where the line is, provide us with the excellent service. But shout out to her because she made our Explorer Journeys experience that much better. And to me, finding host, staff, crew, whichever way you call it, waitress, like that makes a cruise. It makes a voyage and it puts an everlasting memory in your mind of, do you remember when we went on Explore? Oh, remember Mary Rose? Not do you remember Explorer Journeys? Do you remember Mary Rose? Or do you remember that steak that we had in Marble and Co, because the food in Marble and Co was excellent. Very good.
Yeah.
One of the best steaks that we've had. The food in general is the live kitchen, so you can see the chefs, flicking all everything.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
superb.
Fire going.
Oh, just excellent. Moving on again to another one, which was called Shakura. This again was like I had the sushi and all that cuisine, which coming off Crystal, we had now tasted it and wanted more.
Yeah, you developed it. You figured out like this is what it tastes like, and we like it. Yeah,
yeah. Our palate had changed, and we got into this cuisine, so we were like, oh yeah, we know what this is like. Now we're going to go in and try it. Oh, excellent, excellent. Nothing will ever beat that first experience with Crystal with Umi Uma. However, this Sakura was superb. The decor, stunning. The trees. I pretty much believe Sakura is a flower. I'm sure it is. That's why they call it that. It's that lovely pinky blue. People can tell me if I'm wrong.
Someone
but
can write in.
Yeah,
Put it in the comments.
Stunning. The bar was all lit up. Everybody was there. The chefs in the kitchen, again, a live kitchen, just superb. But you can also eat outside there because it was a dual sort of aspect, indoor, outdoor eating in the day and indoor in the night. And the food, again, all on. I wish I could show you photos and everything, but it was just super. But you can also have lunch there. That's the difference from Crystal. You could have lunch and dinner there, all included. We had lunch there nearly every day. That's how good it was.
Isn't that a great testament to just cruising in general? That because so many things are included in your fare, you're willing to try something new and different, and come to find out you like it. And you then seek it out the next time you sail, even if it's a completely different line. Yeah,
I have gone, 10, 15 years of thinking I never liked sushi or anything like that. And now I'm addicted to my own little ones that I like. I'm not very good at it because I'm still learning. But there's some of it that I'm like, oh gosh, I can never have that again. That's not because I don't do spice or anything like that. But it's not about that. It's about you're trying it, you're experimenting, you're opening up your palate, and you can go, oh, I love that. Because if I come back home, first of all, I can't order that down here because we're very limited to where we are. Yeah. But that'd be costing me a fortune. Yeah. So if I've already paid a small fortune to come on this ship, I'm having it all.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's fantastic. So let's move to the itinerary and the ports, and just tell us, were you on any Explore Journeys sponsored excursions, and did you notice a difference because of maybe a 6-star? It was a 6-star line.
We did. So when our first port of call in Mykonos, we had a private tour that we'd found on Get Your Guide or Viator, which one it was. Yeah. This lovely tour guide. She was superb, local, to the point where she was seasonal local, if that makes sense. She'd come over to do the season, and then she'd go back to the other island where she was from. She was excellent. This is where it gets tricky, because that tour couldn't have been any better, regardless if I was on a 6-star ship or not, because it was personable. It was just me and my mum. We paid a good money for it, but it was so good because having that local guide, we got into the nooks and crannies, as we say, down the little alleys. We found the best picture-perfect spots. And somewhere like Mykonos, pictures are fantastic.
And you're not fighting with 15 people to get in line to wait for your time to take that spot.
And even though you can have private tours on any, as far as I saw, you can have private tours with Explorer where it's just a few of you. You're talking mega bucks, money that I don't have, nor would I want to spend that money on a tour. So for that one, I say it's very much based on your itinerary, as we were saying, and based on the actual island or port where you're going to, because Explorer's a new company, as you know. They might not yet have ticked off all their sort of boxes, should we say, with their local guides or anything. Yes, they've had MSC that are good, but can you imagine now where we were, behind us was always another ship, and you're talking an MSC ship with 3, 4, 5,000. So they've already got their tours booked with them because there's so many people coming on. But shout out to Explorer here. This is what I will say, and this is where you find and see the 6-star experience. They got into ports earlier and better positioning than any other ship. So you were first on that island, and you were closer to that island. So you could get off with your tours, private or not. You could get off before the masses. Come, we say. Yeah. So then on to the next one. We then did a tour. I think it was Hanging Monasteries. One of the monasteries was on a James Bond film, right? They're at the top of the hills. Yeah. Oh, just unbelievable. One of the best tours we've ever been on. That was with Explorer. but they took 2 buses to that because it was such a sort of a tour that everybody wanted to go on. It was one of them you had to tick off the list. It was quite a lot of people. So you're still only talking like 60, 70 people. Now, if you're on a ship of 6 or 7,000, you'd then be talking 600 or 700 people. So
Yeah.
yes, they were smaller. The guides were excellent. The buses, super. You know something like that now, the bus, the transportation, superb. First class, leather seats, TV screens, charging ports, toilets.
Yeah.
You don't always get that. You know, little things like
Yeah.
that, water for us. The meals were included. I don't know if they were with every tour. I wouldn't have thought they are, but everything was sort of catered for. So would I say that the tours with the company with Explorer were good? Absolutely. Were they worth the value for money? Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Would I pick that over a private tour that you could do yourselves? I don't think I can answer that because it would depend on your itinerary. For
Yeah.
us, doing the Greek Isles and Turkey, we found better tours sourcing it privately because we wanted that more personal touch where it was just me and mum, and we wanted to find a local guide which we had had previous experience with from other guests or from people who have gone there before. So I'd say 50-50, but if you were to do a tour with Explorer, fantastic. You know, you can't go wrong.
Yeah. Okay. That's good to know. I love the fact that you have done Yacht Club and Explorer Journeys. So give us some compare and contrast, right? Like Yacht Club versus Explorer Journeys. I mean, both are probably fantastic, but give us some
I'm glad you asked that because I've
insight.
been asked by 5 people in the last 2 weeks. Some of them are the ones who commented on my review that I did on YouTube, and they asked vital questions because Explorer, the way it's priced, is priced as a yacht club bracket.
Right.
Because I have actually seen more expensive yacht club cruises than Explorer Journeys voyages. So I will tell you the fundamental differences that I saw. The ship itself, obviously, mega ship, MSC, yacht club feel, Explorer. That's difference number 1. Okay, so it's a lot more exclusive feel on the outside. Now, this is somewhere where MSC Yacht Club wins. There's nothing more special than being greeted by your butler. Okay, now when you get to an MSC terminal, as we call them in the UK, you know, the cruise ship terminal, you go through security and then there's the yacht club section, isn't there, where it's all champagne lobby, just like any 6-star, but you're greeted by the butlers. You know, you do your little check-in there and you're waltzed on the ship. So you almost feel, my dad doesn't like it, right? Because my dad's not very, he likes the finer things in life, but he's very reserved, very under the radar. So he doesn't like that sort of thing. But there's nothing more feeling special or feeling cool, as the kids would say, or that little sense of, oh yeah, we are in Yacht Club and this is our butler and he's taking you on. There's none of that with Explorer. You go on the ship yourself, and as I said then, if you're in the residence or the 2 or 3 main top grade cabin, your butler then does meet you. But it's very reserved. It's very much, I'm so-and-so, come this way. But when you then go on board, the residences and the penthouses have got a different check-in. Okay, so like Yacht Club, you know, when you go on an MSC ship, but it's very reserved. It's in the corner and it's like, ooh, you know, what's over there?
I'm getting the sense of it's the difference between being let through the velvet rope, right? And just knocking on the door to this sort of nondescript, like corner place that you know when you walk inside. It's like the best
you know,
ever.
it's amazing. So I would say that's a fundamental difference there. However, this again is where people are going to resonate with me, I think. When you then go to the Yacht Club on an MSC ship, you've got an exclusive area, correct? So you've got the top sail lounge, the top sail restaurant, the Yacht Club bar, you know, everything like that. Think of that, but the entire ship. That is the Explorer feel. So the Explorer is Yacht Club on another level. Yacht Club within the MSC domain is fabulous and it's nice, and the Yacht Club areas, but you're restricted, aren't you, to the Yacht Club. Explorer, the Yacht Club is the ship. You explore Explorer because she is, ship's a she. Yeah. She is a Yacht Club feel. So it was very much like, wow, okay, you know, this is something else. This is that Yacht Club portrayed as a ship in its entirety on another level. So there's a difference there. Yacht Club feel amazing, but restricted to a certain section of the ship. Explorer is the ship.
And just to be clear, in case anybody doesn't know,
Yeah.
It's not that when you're on MSC and Yacht Club, you can leave that area. It's just that
Yeah.
that level of service, that level of food is going to be different when you go to the other parts
Ooh.
of the ship, right? And I have heard like the food doesn't even compare.
No.
So you
Yeah.
can leave, but then
Yeah.
you're with everybody else,
You,
which
yeah.
for
You
some
leave at
people
your
may
own
be
peril,
great.
as I say, you know?
Yes,
Um,
exactly.
and that's not saying because I've done many cruises. I go on my friends and family. We go on,
Yep.
MSC cruises because they're very good value for money, I will say.
Very.
And
Yeah.
we just enjoy it. You know what you're getting, sort of thing. You know what you're paying for. But yeah, when you come out to that yacht club, it's almost as if, for example, you go on a plane and first class, you normally turn left unless you're on a plane full of first
Yep.
class. So you know what you're going to experience if you're turning right. So when you get on MSC ship, you go to deck 15 or wherever it is, and you know we've got the yacht club. Bleep your card or your band, and whoop, the doors open. Now, MSC. Now you don't go that way, and you turn right.
Yep.
Doots, all that shady light and all that.
Right.
But Explorer, there's no right or left. There is Explorer. This is your yacht club. Go and explore.
Beautiful.
So those are the main differences. But again, the food, I like the food in MSC Yacht Club. It's very nice. It's quite repetitive. They don't change the menu a lot in the restaurant. It has been quite similar for the last few years. Again, it might differ for different ships in different areas around the world, so don't quote me on that. But what I will say about Explorer, the food and the service is excellent in Yacht Club. So I'm not going to say the service is different. It's more personable and more relaxed, should we say, because the hosts on Explorer are not dressed up like the Yacht Club host. There's another difference that people might not initially realize. Of course, in Yacht Club, as you know, they're three-piece suits. They're butlers. They're all butlers. On Explorer, that's not the case. They're all hosts.
Interesting.
So they're in their different uniforms. So that's good, actually. They're not as formal, in a formal attire as what they are on, apart from when you go on deck on the days, they're much more relaxed on Yacht Club. But there's another difference there. So the Yacht Club staff are the butlers and a few of the crew, as you know. But then on Explorer, they're all from their different sections, a lot more relaxed. But the food knocks Yacht Club off a different scale. The Yacht Club food is amazing, and I love the Yacht Club the top sail deck where you can go out and have your barbecue and everything they do, which is great.
There's good food, and then there's like knock your socks off of me.
Yeah, exactly. It's not comparable in my eyes. It is, but it's not. And for the price point, if we were talking now, £5,000, £6,000, £7,000 more or dollars more, I'd be saying, yeah, rightly so, it should be. But it's not. I genuinely hope people listen to our podcast here, this episode, and actually compare the prices.
Right. It out.
Because it's so competitive with Yacht Club. In some experiences, Yacht Club is even more.
Yes, I've seen it. And I mean, part of the reason why I can understand, other than like a big group, right? Multi-generational, big group. Some people can't afford to be in the yacht club,
Totally
but
agree.
they still want to go. And so they have their inside cabin. You have your yacht club. You can still, get together during the day if you want to eat together, etc. I think another reason could be that people want the entertainment. They think that the entertainment on Explorer is not going to be as extensive as on like a big MSC ship. Touch on that for a minute. How was the entertainment?
Well, again, this is where we were very, very surprised. Not, as you rightly touched upon there, not the glitz and the glam, West End sort of Broadway shows. That first night, we went from the buffet to the Sky Bar, which is on the top of after the ship. And we sit there, and the gentleman is just us, and another couple turn up. So it's me and my mum and this other couple, and they're sitting over the other side. And one of the hosts come over, would you like a drink? And he said, what do you like? I said, I like really sweet drinks. And I said, can I have an apple teeny? And he was, I've got something different. I got a lemon drop, which is what I had on Crystal. So I was like, did you used to work for Crystal? We were joking. Yeah. And he brought over this lemon drop and went, in 10 minutes, we've got a saxophonist and a DJ. I'm thinking, I'm not really into DJs. And gosh, I didn't think it should be a 6-star ship. What he meant by DJ was this DJ and this saxophonist were doing a collab, a joint session.
Collaborative,
right. So it was like watching David Guetta and this chap who was on the saxophone, but they'd done a whole set, which was just incredible. You imagine this now, sailing out of Athens with all these ships around, 30-degree heat, and next minute the saxophonist is there with this DJ. Lights, music, atmosphere, people dancing on a 6-star ship when you never thought, you thought, we're going to have to be prim and proper here, can't do this, can't do that. Yeah. And the next minute, it's there.
Beautiful.
It's unbelievable. So there was that, the saxophonist and the DJ. We decided to go there then every night because it was excellent. You think now this would start at 7, 8 o'clock and go on to 1, 2 in the morning. It was a whole set, you know?
Wow.
So included then with the entertainment was in the main lounge, the theatre, was dance acts, which was superb. They're actually in my review that I put on YouTube. They were a fabulous couple who did all different dancing, which was just excellent. Dancing you wouldn't even think that you'd like. Their show, their performance was excellent. Then we had vocalists. One of them, I forgot her name, lover, but she won the Voice Netherlands.
Oh,
And
cool.
she came on and she was spectacular. She was like Adele, right?
Yeah.
She was excellent. But like normal now, you get guest entertainers that will come on. You'd have their 1 or 2 shows and go.
Mm.
Well, she came on for the entirety of the voyage, and she then would do the afternoon teas or a piano session in the main lobby. And it was like, oh, wow. So they actually have these guest entertainers on for a lengthy voyage in different venues,
That's nice.
doing different sets. Now, that's what I liked. I liked that a lot. Yeah, the entertainment. Adam, our cruise director or entertainment host, whichever way they call it, he was actually a West End singer and performer, and he did his own show on the last night. Oh, incredible. And he was Welsh, so it was even better. So we instantly connected,
That's bonded. That's
And
awesome.
he was superb, so shout out to him. But yeah, the entertainment was so varied for a small luxury ship. Of course, you don't get the massive shows, although there was a couple and they were excellent. And there was actually some young ladies in the show that one of their parents actually reached out to me through my review to say thank you for putting it on because they were excellent. Of course, they're new to Explorer and new in themselves, so they want all the feedback. So I will say to the team that were on board in August when we were on board, the entertainment crew, the performers, well done. You were superb.
That's
And to be in a lounge like that, which is, you got to think now, some of them had come from massive ships or big theatres, even though the one on board Explorer is a good size, they have to condense everything. They have to change, they have to go through everything. And they were superb. So shout out to all the entertainment on board. It was excellent.
That's so good to hear. And and from what I have heard, even MSC, the big ship, their entertainment gets mixed reviews because even though a lot of the ships and the advertising in the US is geared to attract the North American market, they still are a very international and European cruise line. So even some of the ships leaving out of Miami, Florida, and now they're going to move to Texas, even those ships have some international entertainers that some of the, unfortunately Americans don't really appreciate. We should.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. I think one thing about cruising that people need to understand and tend to overlook is cruise ships in different areas of the world cater for that specific sector, should we say, that demographic of people. So, for example, us Brits going into mainland Europe to get on a ship in Greece or Italy, you're going to expect it to be catered for that crowd because we came on and we were only one of the few people from the UK because it was all Italians, Brazilians, Spanish, all that sort of, and rightly so. As you said there, when a few of the Americans came over, who we met some lovely American couple who were fantastic. And he actually used to own a circus in New York, which he then sold. And his wife, we joined the quiz, and it was only something like in this quiz, there was 10 people, right? But me and my mum went because my mum loves the trivia quiz, and we met them. And these other lovely people. One was, she used to work for the State Department, this lovely older lady, retired. And another older lady who loves Seabourn, Silver Sea, and had just come on to Explorer. So it was amazing. But the Americans were talking about the different entertainment because it's not the razzmatazz, the glitz and the glam, all that. And when you think of this, like, but you've flown over to Europe to join a European ship in this climate, should we say, it's going to be different. And when you look back and as you've rightly touched, then you think, oh yeah, remember now, it's like when you go to a different country, don't expect it to be English speaking, don't expect it to have the cuisine that we like. So yeah, that's a really good point to touch on. I hope people then think now before they book onto somewhere thinking, right, you're actually going to go onto a vessel that is going to be different to what you think because you're going to a different part of the world. So that's good. That's a good tip for everyone. That's great, Crystal. I like that.
Thanks. Anything else about Explore Journeys that we haven't touched on that you want to share?
I think we've gone through everything. The way we talk, I think we go through in every detail we can. That's all I will say to people is take Explorer Journeys as yacht club on a different level, but the entire ship. And if you haven't done MSC Yacht Club, get rid of the stigma that people automatically establish that because they're owned by MSC, it's going to have that MSC mega ship vibe.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't. The family who own MSC, from all we know, from what we were told by the people on board, were absolutely amazing. The way they've done, I think that the lady who was head of the family, she was head of the business, her and her husband, she actually came on board when the ship was getting built, from what the hosts are telling us now, just people who are listening, to check every cabin, every restaurant, making sure that it was, how they want it. And they built this dream because it's a privately owned family company.
Yes. For people who don't know,
that. Yeah.
MSC is actually a shipping company.
It's the
and
big
they
shipping
also happen
company.
to have some cruise lines.
Yeah, exactly. And they're now bringing out 5 ships. So, not to get everyone jealous, we're booked in March 2028 on Explorer 5. So there's actually going to be
and they are
5
booking
ships.
that far out.
We booked a couple of weeks ago. It's actually said in our last episode, we had just booked it. March 28th, flying out to Egypt, going around Petra, Jordan, Egypt, all around there. So that's going to be amazing because it's the inaugural season for Explorer 5. So there's currently Explorer 1, Explorer 2. Explorer 3 is coming out in the next few weeks. Then Explorer 4 and Explorer 5. So they're actually going to have 5 mega yacht ships, should we say. So the one good thing I will say to everyone, be surprised by the price points because they are actually very, very good. And give it a go.
What I would say to everyone is get on it now.
Yes,
before
100%.
the secret is out.
Before it goes.
Right. Experience it now. I'm trying to figure out how I can do it because they don't have kids.
Make it happen. I know. Make it happen. It's hard, but as we said before, if you can take it off the list. So,
Absolutely.
Explorer Journeys, go for it.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, amazing. So that's in 2028. What is next, though? What's your next location?
What is next? Well, I've got a few cruises, nothing of the luxury brand, should we say. Got a few P&O, a few Princess, which are more premium. But in March, there will be something before then. But we're actually trying Azamara for the first time. So I'm very much looking forward to that. I've got a Silver Sea one, which I'm just about to book because it's a very good deal. But I got to be quite honest with you at the moment. Crystal, as you know, is right up there, and that's what it's going to stay at the moment. Explorer, right up there. But Explorer's price point at the minute, I tend to find myself looking to book on more Explorer cruises.
Yeah.
So, I think between now and March, there's going to be 1 or 2 Explorers or Crystals. But, over the next month or so, it's just little cruises on Cunard and P&O over to Northern Europe for the Christmas lights, the Christmas markets. So, but very much, I do love, one of our favorites is the grills on Cunard. So you got Queen's Grill and Princess Grill. That is like the 6-star arm. So that's their yacht club. So that's one that I'm very... my parents are currently on Queen Anne, the new Cunard ship now, in the grills, having a wonderful time. So that's a different sort of luxury, that is. That's old school White Star service, or White Star line, they'd call it. So that'd be a good one to talk about.
Well, you are always welcome.
Brilliant.
You are always welcome. And to all of the listeners, thank you again for being here. And until next time, I wish you safe and luxurious cruising.
Hey, before you go, if you're enjoying this content, I would so appreciate a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening to this podcast. If you'd like to be on the show, there's a link to a form in the show notes, or you can email me at luxurycruisingpodcast@gmail.com. That's luxurycruisingpodcast@gmail.com. I hope to hear from you soon.